Today, we're exploring one of history's greatest mysteries, the lost 10 tribes of Israel. Who were they? Where did they go? And most importantly, what role do they play in biblical prophecies regarding the end times? Let's embark on this journey through time and uncover the fate of the lost tribes. To begin this story, we need to go back to the patriarch Jacob, the grandson of Abraham. After wrestling with God, Jacob was renamed Israel, which means one who struggles with God. His 12 sons would later become the patriarchs of the 12 tribes of Israel. These sons were Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, and Benjamin. Together, they formed the tribes of Israel, each inheriting a specific portion of the Promised Land. The 12 tribes together constituted the nation of Israel, which eventually grew into a unified kingdom under kings Saul, David, and Solomon. During the reign of King David, the kingdom reached its height, and under Solomon, his son, it enjoyed immense wealth and influence. However, this unity did not last long. After Solomon's death, the kingdom was torn apart due to internal strife and conflict. The southern kingdom, known as Judah, consisted of the tribes of Judah and Benjamin, while the northern kingdom retained the name Israel and was made up of the other 10 tribes, including Reuben, Simeon, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Issachar, Zebulun, Ephraim, and Manasseh. But it was not just political division that plagued Israel. Spiritual rebellion against God was at the heart of their downfall. The northern kingdom quickly fell into idolatry, ignoring God's commandments and worshipping false gods. Despite warnings from prophets like Hosea and Amos, the northern tribes continued in disobedience. As a result, God's judgment came in the form of the mighty Assyrian Empire. In 722 BC, the Assyrians conquered the northern kingdom of Israel, scattering the 10 tribes throughout their vast empire. The Bible recounts this devastating event in 2 Kings 17:6, stating that the king of Assyria deported Israel to Assyria and settled them in Hala, in Gozan, on the harbor river, and in the towns of the Medes. The 10 tribes of Israel were dispersed, scattered across distant lands, and over time their distinct identity as tribes of Israel began to fade. They blended into the surrounding cultures and nations, earning them the title of the lost 10 tribes of Israel. But were they truly lost forever? Or were they simply awaiting a prophetic return in the end times? Throughout history, the mystery of the lost 10 tribes has captured the imaginations of scholars, theologians, and explorers alike. But what makes this mystery even more intriguing is that various groups around the world claim to be descendants of these tribes. Despite their geographical isolation and cultural differences, many of these communities have maintained ancient customs and practices strikingly similar to those of biblical Israel. Could these groups be the remnants of the lost tribes, scattered across the earth, waiting to be reunited with their people? Let's examine some of the most notable claims. One of the most well-known groups claiming descent from the lost tribes is the Beta Israel, or Ethiopian Jews, who believe they are descendants of the tribe of Dan. The Beta Israel have maintained their Jewish faith for thousands of years, despite being isolated from the broader Jewish world. They observe key practices of Judaism, including the Sabbath, circumcision, kosher dietary laws, and the celebration of Jewish festivals. The community's oral tradition tells of a migration from Israel to Ethiopia via Egypt, with the tribe of Dan settling in the highlands of Ethiopia long ago. Their belief in their connection to ancient Israel is so strong that they refer to themselves as part of the lost tribe of Dan. What makes this claim even more compelling is the fact that, in modern times, the Beta Israel's connection to the Jewish people has been recognized by the State of Israel. In the 20th century, Israel's rabbinate officially recognized the Beta Israel as part of the Jewish nation, validating their centuries-old claim. Through operations such as Operation Moses in 1984 and Operation Solomon in 1991, tens of thousands of Ethiopian Jews were airlifted to Israel, where they were welcomed as part of the broader Jewish community. This return to Israel by the Beta Israel is seen by many as a modern-day echo of the biblical prophecies concerning the regathering of Israel's exiles. Another fascinating group is the Bene Israel of India, who trace their ancestry to the tribe of Ephraim. According to their oral tradition, their ancestors were shipwrecked off the coast of India, possibly during the Assyrian exile, and established a small but enduring Jewish community. For centuries, the Bene Israel lived in isolation from other Jewish communities, yet they managed to preserve key elements of their Jewish identity, such as Sabbath observance, circumcision, and dietary laws. Despite limited contact with the broader Jewish world, they retained a strong sense of their heritage. In recent decades, many members of the Ben Israel have immigrated to Israel, where they have been embraced as part of the Jewish people. Their survival and preservation of Jewish customs, despite centuries of isolation, is nothing short of remarkable, and it adds another layer to the mystery of the lost tribes. Could the Bene Israel be descendants descendants of the tribe of Ephraim, one of the lost northern tribes. The Pashtun people of Afghanistan and Pakistan present another intriguing case. Known also as the Pathans, many Pashtun tribes claim to be descendants of the lost tribes of Ephraim and Manasseh, the sons of Joseph. This claim is supported by their ancient traditions, many of which resemble Israelite customs. For example, many Pashtun tribes practice circumcision on the 8th day, avoid eating pork, and follow other cultural practices reminiscent of ancient Israelite law. The Pashtun also refer to themselves as Bani Israel, or children of Israel, and have passed down oral traditions linking their ancestry to the northern kingdom of Israel. Scholars remain divided on the validity of the Pashtun claim, but the persistence of these traditions and the Pashtuns' own strong belief in their Israelite heritage cannot be ignored. With the Pashtun population numbering in the tens of millions, the possibility that they could be descended from the lost tribes adds an incredible dimension to the narrative of Israel's scattering and eventual regathering in the end times. In Nigeria, the Igbo people also claim descent from the lost tribes of Israel, particularly the tribes of Gad and Zebulun. The Igbo have long maintained a strong cultural tradition that includes practices similar to those found in Judaism, such as circumcision on the 8th day, dietary restrictions, and the observance of religious festivals. While their claim has not been widely accepted within the Jewish community, the Igbo's connection to ancient Israel is being explored more closely. In recent years, many Igbos have formally converted to mainstream Judaism, and some have even immigrated to Israel, reconnecting with their ancestral roots. The Lemba people of Zimbabwe and South Africa offer yet another fascinating case. The Lemba claim to be descendants of the tribe of Levi, the tribe traditionally associated with the priesthood in ancient Israel. The Lemba have long practiced circumcision, kosher-like dietary restrictions, and the observance of the Sabbath, all of which are deeply rooted in Jewish law. What's even more compelling is that recent DNA testing has shown that a significant percentage of the Lemba population carries the Cohen modal haplotype, a genetic marker associated with the priestly line of Aaron, brother of Moses. This genetic evidence lends strong support to their claim of being Levites and suggests that the priestly line of Levi may have survived in this unexpected corner of the world. The existence of these groups raises profound questions about the fate of the lost tribes and their role in the end times. The Bible is clear that the tribes of Israel are not forgotten by God. In fact, their return is a central theme in many biblical prophecies. One of the most vivid examples of this is the prophecy found in Ezekiel 37, often called the Valley of Dry Bones. In this prophecy, God promises to bring the scattered tribes of Israel back to life and reunite them with the southern kingdom of Judah. Ezekiel 37:22 declares, "I will make them one nation in the land on the mountains of Israel. There will be one king over all of them, and they will never again be two nations or be divided into two kingdoms." This prophecy speaks of a future time when the lost tribes will be restored, reunited with Judah, and come under the rule of a single king, the Messiah. Isaiah 11:12 further emphasizes the return of Israel's exiles, stating, "He will raise a banner for the nations and gather the exiles of Israel. He will assemble the scattered people of Judah from the four quarters of the earth." This prophecy refers not only to the return from Babylonian exile, but to a much larger global regathering that includes the lost tribes of the northern kingdom. In the New Testament, the book of Revelation also speaks of the role of the 12 tribes in the end times. Revelation 7 describes how 144,000 individuals, 12,000 from each tribe, are sealed for protection during the Great Tribulation. This passage reaffirms that the lost tribes have not been forgotten and will play a significant role in God's final plan for humanity. Revelation 7:4 states, "Then I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 from all the tribes of Israel." This mysterious sealing of the tribes suggests that they will be active participants in the events leading up to the establishment of God's kingdom on earth. But how do these ancient prophecies connect to the groups claiming to be descendants of the lost tribes today? Many believe that the reappearance of these groups is a sign that the regathering of Israel is already beginning. The return of the Beta Israel from Ethiopia, the recognition of the Bene Israel in India, and the genetic evidence supporting the Lemba's priestly lineage all hint at the unfolding of the prophetic narrative. The Bible speaks repeatedly of a future gathering of the scattered tribes. In Jeremiah 31:8, the Lord declares, "See, I will bring them from the land of the north and gather them from the ends of the earth. Among them will be the blind and the lame expectant mothers mothers and women in labor, a great throng will return. This vision of a global regathering, where the tribes of Israel return from every corner of the world, reflects the hope that drives many of these communities today. For them, the journey is not just a historical curiosity, it is a spiritual calling, a part of their identity that has endured through centuries of exile and dispersion. The return of these tribes is also seen as a precursor to the Messianic age, a period when the Messiah will reign and peace and righteousness will be established on earth. According to Jewish and Christian eschatology, the gathering of all Israel, including the lost tribes, will mark the beginning of a new era in human history. The reconstitution of Israel as a united nation under the rule of the Messiah is a key component of these end-time prophecies. Ezekiel's vision of dry bones coming to life is a powerful symbol of resurrection and restoration, both for the nation of Israel and for humanity as a whole. But how do we reconcile these prophecies with the modern world? While some may view the claims of these groups with skepticism, the persistence of their traditions and the connections they maintain with ancient Israel are hard to ignore. Whether through oral traditions, genetic evidence, or religious practices, these communities keep alive the memory of the lost tribes even after thousands of years. Their stories serve as a reminder that the scattering of Israel, while tragic, was never the end of the story. The Bible assures us that God's promises remain steadfast, and the restoration of Israel is a crucial part of the divine plan. Moreover, the interest in the lost tribes is not limited to these isolated groups. Around the world, there is a growing movement of people who are searching for their connection to ancient Israel, whether through genealogy, historical research, or personal faith journeys. The idea of being part of the lost tribes has captured the imagination of many, as it resonates with the biblical theme of exile and return, of lostness and redemption. This is not just a story of the past, but a living narrative that continues to unfold in unexpected ways. The Pashtun, Igbo, Lemba, Beta Israel, and many others represent only a fraction of the possible descendants of the lost tribes. Who knows how many more such groups may emerge in the future as the search for Israel's scattered tribes continues? In some cases, this search has even led to surprising scientific discoveries, such as the DNA evidence linking certain populations to ancient Israelite ancestry. While not all claims can be verified, the sheer diversity and persistence of these traditions suggest that the lost tribes are far from forgotten. In conclusion, the story of the lost tribes of Israel is one of the most captivating and mysterious sagas in human history. It is a story that spans millennia, from the heights of the ancient Israelite kingdom to the farthest reaches of the modern world. The scattering of these tribes following the Assyrian conquest may have seemed like the end of their story, but the Bible tells us that God has not forgotten his people. Prophecies in Ezekiel, Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Revelation all point to a future regathering of Israel, when the lost tribes will be reunited with Judah and will play a central role in the establishment of God's kingdom on earth.